The Feast of Ascension of Jesus is an assertion of meaning to our human existence. The Feast of Ascension, 24th May 2020. It is perhaps good to differentiate between the two important feasts of the Catholic Church, the Ascension and the Assumption. The Ascension is a feast referring to Jesus going up to heaven after his resurrection, while the Feast of Assumption refers to Our Lady's going up to heaven at the end of her earthly existence. The former is celebrated at the 40th day after Easter, that is today, and the latter is celebrated on the 15th of August every year. The very terms ascension and assumption also indicate another difference in the act of their going up to heaven. While Mary was assumed into heaven by God the Father, which is in passive voice, Jesus is said to have ascended into heaven, which is in active voice. For the first 3 centuries, the event of Jesus' ascension was celebrated together with Easter. Only by the 4th century, the Feast of Ascension began to celebrate it as a separate feast. The Acts of the Apostles, which is a continuation of the Gospel of Luke, gives more details of the scene of the ascension of our Lord, describing it in a very picturesque way. Jesus takes the apostles to the Mount Olives. He blesses them and ascends up into heaven, and the clouds come and hide him from their vision. They are so engrossed with what's happening that an angel appears to them to awaken them, so to say, from the state of awe and wonder. Only in the Acts of Apostles it is mentioned that after 40 days of resurrection Jesus ascended, while the Gospels and other New Testament writings mention it along with the event of Jesus' resurrection. The number 40 is considered, as we know, to be holy in the scriptures. For instance, 40 years of desert experience by the Israelites, Prophet Elijah's walk for 40 days through the desert after being fed by the angel, and Jesus spending 40 days in fasting and prayer in the desert, and so on. Jesus can be seen to have 3 types of existence. 1. Physical existence, as he walks on the dusty soil of Palestine. It's like that of any other human existence, subjected to joys and sorrows, pain and pleasures, and so on. Then a sort of mixed existence is a second existence, a mixture of earthly and the divine existence, which he assumes after resurrection. It is physical existence because he eats with the apostles and they are able to touch him and converse with him, but at the same time it is divine because he freely passes through the closed doors. And finally, the third existence is a glorious and divine existence as he ascends back to his Father in heaven. This event is seen as the great culmination of his mission on earth. The event of Jesus' ascension is seen as a prelude to our entry into God's eternal bliss, as his death on the cross earned for us a share in his divine life, and his resurrection assured us with a guarantee that we too rise again one day. Of all possible implications and insights of the Feast of Ascension, I like to highlight 2 basic ideas. 1. It's a reminder and invitation to commit ourselves to continue Jesus' mission on the earth. When the apostles are wonderstruck at the sight of Jesus ascending into the clouds, they are reminded by the angels about their great mission lying ahead. It's easier to lose themselves in that glorious and magnificent sight. But that's not the purpose of their being chosen by Jesus to be his apostles. Here one may be reminded of transfiguration, where Jesus himself has to remain and guide them who wish to make tents for permanent stay on the mountain, but to get down from the hill and get into work. Therefore, the ascension is also a reminder to us that we need to proclaim the good news and continue the mission that Jesus has left. Sometimes we do feel elated as we attend perhaps a charismatic convention or the annual retreat somewhere or during the pilgrimage to the Holy Land or some holy shrines and so on. We feel spiritually thrilled and overjoyed to feel the presence of God over there. But we cannot continue to remain there for too long. We need to return to our daily routine life. We need to face the daily struggles and challenges. We need to learn to feel the presence of God in that normal circumstance of life and try to make God present to the others amidst the day-to-day uncertainties and anxieties of life. And the second lesson would be, being united with God is the aim of any human living, and only that gives meaning to the very existence. One fundamental aspect of the good news is to proclaim to the world that any human life finds its meaning and fulfillment only when it is united with God, its Creator. Jesus' mission on the earth culminates in his ascension, opening up the door for any sincere human person of goodwill to be united with God by going beyond oneself to give hope and meaning to others' lives. Without this reaching out to the others, which in fact is that which makes humans human, one finds one's life meaningless and empty. It is fitting to remember the words of Shakespeare here. He says, "Life is a sad story told by an idiot, full of noise signifying nothing." In my opinion, if one does not find meaning in life, life will be a sad story told by an idiot, full of noise signifying nothing. Life seems to be a bottomless pit if it is not rooted in some solid faith to live by or noble values to hold on to. Further, without being united with God, life will be disturbing and nauseating, as Jean-Paul Sartre puts it. Jean-Paul Sartre, who lived from 1905 to 1980, was a well-known French existential philosopher. He asserts that we need God, who is a necessary being, in order to give meaning to the human existence, which is not permanent. Our beings are contingent, temporary. But unfortunately, Jean-Paul Sartre, being a non-believer, is unable to find God, and that lands him in a deep trouble. For he argues, and rightly so, without something which gives life a sense of permanence, life is very contingent, and without something to look forward to and strive towards, human life is totally meaningless and absurd. These unfortunate conditions make him feel like an exile in the world. Sartre's lamentation can be interpreted to show that contingent human beings can find substantial meaning only in a necessary being who is, of course, God, who is stable and permanent. Similarly, Teilhard de Chardin, who lived from 1881 to 1955, a priest scientist from France, while explaining the theory of evolution as spiritual and purposeful, he declares that humans are anxious and sick of the dead end. The evolution moves on, he tries to show, towards the omega point, which for him is Jesus Christ. The same idea is echoed in different words by St. Augustine, a 4th century theologian. He says, "Our hearts are restless until they rest in God." Today's modern world has replaced God with many things like money, power, passion, position, fame, pleasure, and so on, but has also realized that nothing can really fulfill the human's deep longing. Let's be convinced of this assertion of the Feast of Ascension, that we can find the real rest and solace only in God when we are united with Him, and be committed to share this good news with others in and through words, actions, and attitudes.